Hello, Mark. I'm thankful for the content you put out. I've struggled with crippling anxiety all my life. There's so much I could share, but the timing coming across your videos has been a godsend. I have been examining my own heart, life, and my past, being honest with God and myself, and never realized how fear-based I was living until recently. I hear you. I turned 30 and it was like it all caught up to me. That sounds reasonable. You know, for many, they realize that. Now, others, it can take a lot longer, later years in life. It doesn't matter when you get these things. It's that you got it, and now you can do something about it. I asked myself, how in the world have I been in the church since I was 17, serving in ministry and surrounded by people who really love Jesus, and this all got undetected? I think I'm just going to let that one sit for a second. So your question is one I share too. I'll add to your questions. Let me take the crickets off. How did I grow up in the church and end up in my older 20s and be a pastor on staff of a large, numerically growing church and not know the love of the Father? Now, I didn't say I wasn't saved. But I was disconnected. I didn't know how to experience his love. I was a church performer, a church doer. Get it right. Do it all right. And I could impress you with biblical knowledge. I could whip out verses. I could be like, I'm more mature than these people. I know more than these people. And it took a breakdown, an OCD, anxiety, panic, depression-ridden breakdown for me to realize I need a reboot. And many of you feel the same way too, and you're awakening to that. I believe a lot of it was wrong beliefs I had surrounding my fear and anxiety. There was a lot of shame and felt I had to hide it. Yep. And many witness to this as well too. I have noticed recently how much I avoid and want to hide things. At work, for example, there is a lot that I do that brings me great anxiety. I am a church secretary. Oh, God bless you. God bless you. And work with the banking. Okay, I could see where OCD is going to start coming in now. You work with the numbers in the church. It's God's money. You better get these numbers just right. Get them just right. Or coming to a theater near you. Total destruction. Sorry, I'm projecting. Let's see where you're going with this. I have recently acknowledged I have embarrassing coping mechanisms I do to avoid out of fear of making a mistake or just because it feels overwhelming. I understand. For example, I can literally spend an hour or more picking my dead ends. Picking my dead ends. Do you mean like your hair dead ends? Is that a girl thing? You're picking at your dead ends, right? Is that? Or is that that's not an accounting term. That's not an accounting term, is it? Like, I got to pick the dead ends. Any of you accountants, Ladies, help me out. Is this what you say? Picking my dead ends? Or is it a typo? Do I need dead ends over here? I have worked this job for 4 years, and this past year was the worst on avoidance. It would also look like spending time on social media, talking to others I work with, or getting hyper fixated on looking up scriptures or just other tasks that aren't work related. You get easily distracted. Yeah, you get easily distracted because there's a fear of failure that causes you to procrastinate. So you have the influence of perfectionism in your life. I got to do it just right, but it's never enough. So the idea of doing this task has created a fear response in you that creates an avoidance. It's a common perfectionism / even OCD. All OCDers have an avoidance system that starts to be built in them, where they avoid simply because of the fear of whatever it is. So what it means that when you go to work, what I would recommend you do, you're going to have to practice facing the fear, and even facing too that like let's say you got to put a report together, a banking report. Hey, I put a lot of work in this. Sometimes I get a little nervous that I made some mistakes, but I think everything, Is there a way to share a little bit? Do you have a safe community on staff? I mean, when I see you in your secretarial role, I'm like, who's being a voice in your life? Is everyone just so busy? No one knows what's going on. But like where you can, hey, here it is. Here's the work, but that, hey, I struggle with this pressure. I'm working through that, where then they can be supportive of that. But what I would advise when you get to work is when you go to work, hit the tasks that you avoid first thing. Do those first. In fact, that's what I do in my day. I'll do the more challenging thing that I want to like put off right up front. Like right now, I'm doing the audiobook. I love putting together this book, but the audiobook gets very fatiguing. My voice gets tired, and sometimes I'm like, I'll just do it tomorrow. So as soon as my voice gets warm enough in the morning, I'm going to go right to this before I even tackle the other things, right? That's just an example of where we have to work on this avoidance issue because that makes the fear grow more and more. I can remember getting hyperfixated on things in high school and would avoid work I wasn't interested in. This past year, my anxiety was at an all-time high. I was stuck in depression and found myself in an unhealthy relationship, and I got really behind on things. I also do this in other areas of my personal life. My house is messy. I avoid. My bank account is negative. I avoid. I know this is not healthy. It is because of deeper things going on. The Lord is doing a deeper work in me. I know this all stems from my childhood. Man, my heart goes out to you because that's rough. That's tough. I get what you're saying. That avoidance like spreads everywhere. Because see, what I hear here is a broken heart that needs the safety of love, that you're okay, and you need some encouragement, that you're not crazy, you haven't lost your mind, you're not in this strange, weird battle that no one else has. There's some stuff going on here in your heart and your emotions, so it's affecting you. But we don't want to inflame the avoidance. Part of loving yourself, catch me, part of loving yourself is realizing if I keep avoiding, that's anti-love. That's not being loving to myself because it piles things up. So where I would start is start from home out. I would start with your bedroom and just clean up your bedroom today. And then the next day, maybe clean your living room. And if you struggle with that, get somebody to come over and help you clean. Oh, this brings up an interesting memory. When Melissa and I were first married and we first started our ministry, do you know what one of the things we would do is? We would actually help clean up people's houses. But don't mishear me. Not cleaning people's houses like, hey, you're paying us to clean your house. It was we were doing ministry with people, like one-on-one stuff, helping people. And as out of that, they're like, yeah, our house is a mess. The disorder inside showed up outside in their house, meaning, right? And so we would walk them through because there was a lot of avoidance. Hoarding and stuff like that is an avoidance of letting something go, right? Of like taking something, I got to let this go. I got to throw it in the trash. I got to give it away. Right? That's a task of letting go. And my wife and I would work through I'm like, this could be a TV show. My wife and I'd be working through the emotions as we're like, hey, there's rat poop, lining up here. We got to start organizing this, right? And then when we would go through it, emotions would come up. Oh, this is a box and I had the divorce and the thing, right? It's like, okay, there it is. There's the reason why it's tough, to let go. So the procrastination is going to delay you from being used to exercising the muscles that need to be exercised. That's why I tell the tribe, do something every day that stretches you just a little bit. I'm not going to have you pray for you today and tomorrow you're just going to, tackle all these things. No. It's one thing at a time. It's one layer at a time. Facing fear is not pulling the ripcord and jumping out of an airplane. It's taking steps, one in front of the other. Start with your room, move out to the rest of your house. And when you go to work and you clock in, do the tasks that you avoid the most right up front. That like, I cannot go on social media. I can't whatever, go get a coffee break. But when I'm done with this task, I'm going to have a coffee break. Okay. Now that's my fun little reward. That might mean anything to you, whatever. But for me, I go, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have a nice, enjoyable coffee break. Right. I used to, even when I worked at a church, me and the youth pastor, and we'd go, hey, coffee? And I never said no. We'd go have a break. It's just a thing, right? It's a thing. The coffee break, it's not just the coffee, it's the moment, it's the break, right? So give yourself a reward so that when you conquer it, I'm going to go, okay, so you go on social media, okay, I want to tackle this, and I'm going to, when I'm done, then I'll go on Facebook and zone out for 10 minutes. That's pretty much, Facebook and Instagram are zoning out places, and Snapchat and TikTok. Whereas YouTube tends to be more, I'm looking for something. That's why I land in this because it's like, I'm here for when you're searching versus when you're just spinning. Because you're spinning, it's like, entertain me. Show me a monkey jumping on your back, spinning around. And so anyways, I feel like I'd want to walk alongside as a brother and just encourage you, because you're turning 30. This is a significant time where things can be healed. It doesn't have to be like this for the rest of your life, but it's going to take some love, because you've got some depression going on, some heaviness that you're struggling with too. The Lord is doing a deep work in me. And I know this all stems from my childhood. It is the first time in my life I'm acknowledging the hard things. And you know what? I want to say yes, give you a high five, thumbs up. It feels like I was blind to so much really going on. Me too. So I understand. I feel the most freedom I ever have because of acknowledging the truth. But it is also the scariest and hardest season I've ever found myself in. Yes, because this is what you're doing. You're starting to move from avoidance and towards what you're afraid of. If OCDers can pick this up, oh goodness, perfectionists have to pick this up. We have to move towards what we're afraid of, because the fear gives it power. I could go on a bunch of tangents there, but I want to stay on track here with what you're saying. Okay. I feel like I feel the most freedom I ever had because of acknowledging the truth. But it's the scariest, hardest season I ever found myself in. You often talk about detoxing, and it really feels that way. Yes, stay on it, keep walking it. The most difficult part is having to be honest with the pastor and people I work with, or just people in general. Now, what's hard about it? Is it the way they react, or is it just more the internal war within you? It is embarrassing, and not everyone understands OCD and anxiety. I acknowledge there are fears that come up even when I think about it. Fears like, what if they doesn't understand? That is a good bridge to cross. That is a good bridge to cross, because my wife talks about this a lot when she talks about working through her OCD. It's like, when you look at the trail of what it's saying, okay, so if they don't like me, okay, they don't like me. What am I going to do to change that right now? And in fact, for me, facing people not liking me has been the most helpful thing for dealing with people that don't like me, or the fear of people not liking me, or the fear of people rejecting me. It's like, there it is. Or the fear of being misunderstood. That's one I've carried my whole life. How many of you relate to that? And just going, okay, they don't understand me. There it is. I can see it right in this email, right in this comment, and I do not have to be compulsive about it. So I think that's a big one. Find a way where you can, whoever you report to, start there. I don't know if you've got a big church, if it's a big staff and all that. I worked at a church where it's like, this reports to this, you had like a chain of command, right? Or is it just, you're the pastor's secretary and, you report to him, whatever, and you just have a conversation. See, this is what I'm struggling with. And you don't have to wear it on your sleeve everywhere you go, hey, I have OCD. I'm not advocating that, but just sharing in a safe way to cross through this fear. And what if he or they dismiss it? And I think, how can this be related to rejection in my life? Goodness, it is so hard to be vulnerable and honest. It is, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And some people can handle it wonderfully. Some can't. But either way, it's worth doing it. Even if you walk away and go, ugh. You ever had that time where you're vulnerable and you share something and it didn't go well? Not you guys. You guys have just perfect interactions with people. Maybe those people over there. What about you people over there? Do you being vulnerable is still worth it. Even typing this to you makes me emotional. And you made me emotional as I'm reading this too. I'm with you. I understand. It's all right. It's very personal and tender right now. I guess I don't have a question per se. Yeah, you did. You had a bunch of them in here, and I felt like it was important to address them. I'm just in a place of seeking direction. I also think I need some reassurance that I'm not alone and from people that understand. Thank you in advance for the wisdom you have. Well, everybody tuning into this broadcast, including everyone in the comment section, to be honest, relates in some degree towards what you're sharing and what you're talking about here. So